from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. Welcome back to the show. We are excited to have Ciara Adams joining us here today. She's the owner and creative director and egg guardian at the Unity Studio. And again, this is the home of Harmonic Egg Toronto. We're going to talk all about that, fill you in, get to know Ciara today, as well as to find out all that she has to offer here at this high vibrational venue for self-growth, performance, celebration, and so much more. So first and foremost, welcome to the show today. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me, Jill. It feels great to be here.
Well, it's exciting to have you here. And I want everyone, first and foremost, to go to the website, theunitystudio.com. That's the Unity, UNITY, studio, STUDIO.com. And I'm excited to get to know you today. So first and foremost, tell us a little bit about what you offer here.
Okay, well, the Unity Studio, it's a wellness center. So by the day, during the week, we are Toronto's first and flagship Harmonic Egg Wellness Center. So that's sound, light, and energy healing. And then we're also a venue, and we're not just a venue for private hire. We have this beautiful open concept space, kind of like a New York style loft, but done up to the nines. So very comfortable, full kitchen and everything. We offer sound healing workshops, but we also do other things like concerts. We have our own music, because for me, the tagline of the Unity Studio is transformation from within. And I've been a lifelong performer, musician, actor, creator, and bringing in frequency and harmonics and sound healing, it all kind of unfolds to create this sort of high vibrational space that's really all about self-growth and self-development.
Beautiful. Well, we're going to dive deeper into all the services you provide. And I first, though, want to get to know you a little bit further, if you don't mind. Tell us a little bit about yourself. And I know you also are a professional opera singer, a musician, actor. You've done it all. And you spent so many years and still do, right, with all this. So please share a little bit of your background, your journey. And of course, would love to hear, how this started with the Unity Studio. Thank you.
Sure. Thanks, Jill. I'm a trained opera singer and a trained actor. And I started my career very early, around the age of my early 20s, and worked for 25 years in the field, creating shows, creating work, recording albums, touring internationally, doing all the stuff that people do when they're in the arts. And as such, I've always been really open to the idea of how much creativity really can expand us, really connect us to ourselves, allow us to really figure out who we really are. And I think I feel very privileged that I was able to actually live that life. And I didn't squash that dream. I went out there and did that. Yeah. In the way that I wanted to, which was really exciting and fun. And when I got to be about the age of, and I also during that time, I was teaching voice. So I've been a voice teacher for many, many years as well, which I love. There's a story behind that maybe we'll get to later. But when I got around to my early 40s, I had been touring and doing all this stuff. And I was single and I still hadn't met someone. And I thought, I've always wanted to be a mom. It just never had happened for me. So I decided that I would take a giant leap, and I decided that I would become a single mother by choice and have a child, and sort of change my life a little bit and really see what that experience would be like. That decision in itself took me like 4 or 5 years to get to be honest. And I did. I went through the process of IVF, actually, and on my own, I became pregnant, and I had a beautiful little boy named Oshin. And that changed my life totally. It just put me on a totally different track, although I was still performing. In fact, when Oshin was 6 months old, we performed a show in the Pan Am Games here in Toronto when it came, and I was like, it was on Toronto Island, so I would literally be pumping. I would, in my breaks, be pumping for Oshin. I would put it in a freezer. I would be riding my bike home, literally getting home at midnight, doing his feed, because I was only leaving him for as little time as I could at the time. But I was integrating both things, and it did change my perspective, although I kept teaching, but it was such a joy for me to enter into motherhood and see what that experience was like. So yes, like I've always been into mindfulness. I've always done yoga. I've always done meditation. It's been something that's really supported me as an artist throughout my life and helped me when writing music, when doing creative shows, creating work. And the experience of having Oisin led quickly to the experience of then meeting a partner, having another child, my son Oscar. And so I was kind of doing it all, still teaching and so forth. And then my husband and I at the time, we were doing music together. We had been working together, writing music. We had gotten together and we were 3 weeks away from making an album with a 3-time Grammy award-winning producer. It was like a dream come true. I was like, I'm living my dream. I've got my kids. I've got my partner. You know, it's all happening. It's all coming together. This is it. And we'd even secured, you know, a couple of very difficult grants to pay for the project. And then Oisin had an earache, so we kind of thought, okay, this is just something we have to get seen to. It was during COVID, the end of COVID. The Omicron virus was around at the time. And so I took him to the emergency room and found out that day that he actually had a very aggressive, very rare brain tumor that 1 in a million children get. And everything just changed rapidly for us. And it was really, Jill, like having the rug pulled out from underneath you, and everything on top of that just sort of crumbled, you know? However, even within that darkest moment, that moment of standing outside of the emergency room door, it was 11:30 at night with the neurosurgeon at Sick Kids Hospital here in Toronto. I had been like feverishly working on sound healing and just obsessing about metaphysics and the nature of the universe and frequency and how everything works. And I've always been interested in that, but it really kicked into high gear around 2018. Anyway, standing in that moment, when I received the most shocking news that any mother could receive, Oisin was 7 at the time, immediately what happened was this inner knowing set in. And I just thought to myself, and I knew, okay, we're going to go through this with as much joy and love and peace and harmony as we can. And we're going to do everything that we can to support Oisin and have fun, whatever this is. Mm-hmm. It was just such a shocker. He'd never even been sick a day in his life. He'd never even, I'd never even had the flu. So it just like came out of nowhere. So needless to say, the project was put on hold at the time, and we entered into this very difficult and challenging, but I would definitely say heightened and beautiful experience over the next 9 months. And I had heard about the harmonic egg, and that was something that I had thought, oh, that's so cool. I'm definitely going to try that. It was a little bit far away from where we lived in Toronto. So, but as soon as Oisin got diagnosed, I thought, okay, this is going to be part of the support treatment, the holistic support that we do, in support of the allopathic medical system, the radiation at Princess Margaret Hospital here in Toronto. And luckily the pediatricians and the pediatric teams at Sick Kids Hospital are so forward thinking. They are so supportive of alternative forms of medicine. And they understand that when families are in desperate situations, it's really, they have to really allow us to just explore all of those alternative opportunities out there, So that ended up being my introduction to the harmonic egg, and just the whole story of Oisin and walking through that is really how I got to become the owner of the Unity Studio. Our logo is a deer, and that's because the name Oisin means little deer. So really, this is a legacy project. It is me taking everything that I've learned from this experience and bringing it forward and moving it into the world to support others who are going through any kind of crisis, whether it's mental health, whether it's a diagnosis, whether they're just so anxious and stressed or dealing with lifelong traumas that they really need to transmute and move through. Because, we always say that this kind of thing is really what's going to keep you out of the hospital. No one wants to get there in the first place. Hospitals are for moments of crisis or great heroics when we really need that, and they're beautiful places for that. But I think we all need to start considering how can we start living our lives in a more balanced way so we never enter the hospital, So it's, and again, in the case of Oisin, that wasn't the choice I had. But throughout his illness, I was determined, Jill. I was like, I am going to save my child. I'm going to be the first person in the world who has a child that recovers from DIPG. And during that process, actually, we did get into a clinical trial in Washington, D.C. It was the first clinical trial for children of its kind in the world. And it was the first clinical trial in the world that was using light and sound therapy to work with cancer and to work with tumors. And this is a very new form of cancer treatment. It's super exciting. It's a super exciting field. So when we got into that clinical trial, I really thought, okay, this is it. This is it. We are going to be the first people to do this. And we took Oshin down there. We were on the CBC here in Toronto. We did the interviews, everything. It was going so well. And we went down, we met everyone at the hospital, beautiful hospital, great doctors, incredible program. And essentially the company Sonolescence, what they've developed is they've developed a dye that can go directly into the body. And it's very simple. It doesn't hurt. It's just a little needle. They'd had great success with adults in Phoenix, Arizona. And the dye goes in, and then the patient goes into the MRI machine where light is placed on the tumor. The dye lights up the tumor just very exactly, and then low frequency ultrasound waves are pointed at the tumor. And what that does is it destabilizes the cancer cells, and then they literally melt away and shrink the tumor. So it was just such an exciting process to be part of. We were interviewed by the company. They just loved our approach to how we were going through Oshin's condition. And then, of course, the second day we were there, Oshin had his MRI, and we had found that it spread to his spine, so he could no longer be the first candidate in the world to receive the treatment. And Jill, I have to say that was the moment for me where I just I saw myself on the train, and the train was going off the cliff, and I had no brakes and I couldn't stop it. And I had to accept that wasn't the story. The story wasn't that I was going to save him. The story was that I was going to have to walk through the impossible. And it really does feel like that, and just face every day in the best way that I could. And that's what I've been doing essentially. And, by doing that and by really feeling the things that have been happening, but staying in my joy and heart as much as possible, I've been able to get to this point and have this incredible business, and now be able to be in a position where I can serve other children, other people going through cancer treatments, and a variety of other things, and the entire space is just about joy of life, community, being together, finding what's at the heart of our human experience, and just enhancing that in every way.
Well, I'm so sorry, and I know you've heard that a million times, and as a mom, it's just heartbreaking, but and here you are still working and believing and doing, and I can only imagine that type of loss and what you had to go through, so I appreciate you sharing your story, and it has made you clearly so strong, and look what it's done for you. And I want to find out more about the harmonic egg, and I think our listeners would love to find out more about that, and of course what it is that you do. And again, can I just share something with you briefly?
Yes, please.
I commend you. I'm 46. I did the same exact thing. I had a child all by myself. He's 9 now. His name's Austin. I did the same thing. Awesome. I couldn't find that right person. I said, you know what? I'm going in this alone. Go online. I'm like, I'm going to find sperm donor. And I did it. And then the second one I had kind of by an accident, which was a miracle, but still
the exact same story of me. I was told after Oshin that if I wanted another child, I had to do IVF again. And then Oscar just came. Oh my gosh, we share that same story.
That's why I just commend you. I know I could understand to that aspect. I mean, what a beautiful thing. And of all you could do for Oshin, and how much, you love him still. And wow. Thank you for sharing that. Let's talk a little bit now, if you don't mind, then about what is this harmonic egg that you brought up a few times? Tell us and share with our listeners a little bit.
Yeah, of course. It's actually a very magical, I guess you could call it structured device, form of energy therapy. And it's shaped, there are 4 main aspects to the harmonic egg. So it was invented by a beautiful woman named Gail Lynn. She lives in Colorado. And there are now 130 harmonic egg centers around the world, which is incredible and growing. Yeah, so they're around, people. You can find them. You can go to the main harmonic egg site, actually. and just Google where they are if people are interested to find the location closest to you. So anyway, a harmonic egg is this beautiful egg-shaped kind of ellipse-shaped sort of dome. And the person goes into the dome for 50 minutes, and I'll explain exactly what happens. So it is a form of light, sound, and frequency energy healing. And when you're in the dome, so the dome is specifically designed to be it's a dodecahedron. And a dodecahedron shape, Jill, is a sacred geometrical form, so a platonic solid. It's got 10 sides to it. So it's a dome. It's like an egg with 10 sort of panels on the inside. And that's very specific because in terms of how solids and matters and physics is developed, the sacred geometrical form of a dodecahedron is super healing for the human body and the human energy body. So there's that, and that's just the start. And then you also have the inner lining of the ellipse, which I have. It's with walnut. So walnut is known to really enhance the body. Our brains are shaped like walnuts on purpose. There's a lot of walnut tincture. So the walnut that is inside the egg is also vibrating at a high frequency.
Oh, wow.
And it's especially brought in from Japan. So that's the structure. So you go into that nice, and it's very spacious. So many people ask me, is it claustrophobic? Because I think we all have these memories of past lives or something, which make us terrified. And I myself am as well. But no, it's super spacious. And if you just go into the egg, you actually immediately can hear a different sound. Your voice sounds different. And and you feel instantly calm. So you don't even need the lights or the sound to come on for you to already start to go into a sense of alpha theta in the brain. Yeah, it's amazing. And then in addition to the shape of the egg, we have an anti-gravity chair inside, so it goes back fully. So your legs can be up, you can be fully back as much or as little as you want to be reclined. So it's very comfortable. And then when you're in the egg, it's a 50-minute 50 experience. You have 40 minutes of intentionally, compassionately composed music, and then 10 minutes of silence. The 10 minutes of silence acts like a shavasana. So if anyone who does yoga, by the end of the yoga session, you have to sort of lie in shavasana to let your body, your cells, and everything that's happened let all the work to just actually go through the body, just allow it to really take hold before coming back out into the real world, as it were. So the music is incredible. We have upwards of 60 40-minute albums that we use. All of them are intentionally composed by incredible composers, like famous American sound healing composers like Yuval Ron and Annie Williams, to name but a few. And they are so sophisticated. Wow. They take into account different frequencies. So some will be in 432 hertz. That's the frequency of love. There'll be other healing frequencies as well, the whole gamut. But not only that, but also there will be, if things are recorded, if there's any animal sounds or things like crickets, they'll be recorded intentionally under the moonlight at certain times to make sure that that is really heightened and the frequency of those recordings are specific. And in addition to that, Gail puts so much study and effort and science into different instrumentation. Yeah. So, for example, Jill, if a song is using a lot of flute and someone is really trying to get to the root cause of, say, a trauma where they're holding a lot of anger for something that might have happened to them early in their life, the song has flute in it, that will actually go directly into the liver and help to support the liver to remove that and to sort of allow that trauma to be released. And then it will come out of the body in terms of emotion. It might come out of the body. Oftentimes people might have a mild headache after they've gone in for their first session because literally things are detoxing out of the body. So that's just one example. I could go on and on and on. It's actually quite sophisticated, and it borrows from lots of things, including Chinese medicine, acupuncture, meridian lines, sound healing, harmonics, cymatics, which is the study of seeing sound. So we now know that if you play beautiful sound to water, say, for example, and you've got a camera on water, it will actually form very sophisticated mandalas, like we sometimes see in the Hindu and Buddhist traditions. You know, the mandalas of the tree of life and other things? Yes. So those kind of mandalas, that's how... basically how structures are built on those kind of sophisticated mandalas. So if you can imagine that's happening to 70% of your body, because we're 70% water ourselves, while you're in the harmonic egg, and it really will go straight to the vagus nerve, straight to your autonomic nervous system, and it will really put your body into rest and digest, take you right out of fight or flight. And that's really how we start to work with people. When someone comes for their first session, it's always an autonomic nervous system reset. And we're just basically retuning your vagus nerve and your whole chakra system back to your every one of us has our own frequency. So you're getting yourself retuned to your own frequency, connected right back to who you are meant to be. And that will allow you the space and time to start to really tackle the underlying issues of chronic fatigue, chronic pain, anxiety, stress, PTSD. It's really amazing. And I didn't even talk about the lights. So there's also 2 different colors of lights.
Yeah, I saw it, by the way. I'm on the website. I hope everyone's doing the same, the unitystudio.com. You could actually see the pictures of this. And yeah, go ahead. Tell us about the lights.
Yeah, so it's amazing. So when someone comes in, we have egg guardians, is what we call our staff. So people are trained specifically to understand all of these concepts. And then we are working with the client to set their intention for their egg session. And then we will choose the lights based on that. So the lights, we're working with different color therapies. And so different colors relate to different parts of the body, different chakra systems, different organs, different emotions. And then in addition to that, we're also working with them to decide and decipher which song they need. So they'll have their own specific lights, top and bottom for each session, and their own song. And then they set an intention. And then before they start, I will take them through a deep meditation or a short, brief meditation wherein we'll state their intention for the session, close the doors, they have nothing to worry about, and then they have 50 minutes of uninterrupted, non-screen, total time with self, which is just don't we all need that right now in our lives? It's
so just true. Yes, we do.
And that in itself is profound, to take 50 minutes and really go into what we call a quantum state, a quantum healing nap. And when people do fall asleep, it still works. If you can lie in whichever position you want, you can close your eyes, open your eyes, it still works. The light, all of it is designed so it's working like a biofield. And the ellipse shape, the music, you can't even hear where the music's coming from. It's like this surround sound inside, and just so beautiful. Some beautiful, a variety of music and a variety of different things. And it's actually so powerful that when people come in for their first session, we would only put them on what we call the ANS reset. There are 10 songs specifically for that. And we only work with the top chakras. So the heart, which would be green. Okay. The throat chakra, which is a cyan, like a light blue.
Yeah.
The third eye, which is indigo, and then the crown chakra. So, when we're working with those, the heart is when you really want to transmute something. You really want to get over something, come back into your heart place. The throat chakra is how you create. So I speak, how do we create our lives through the words that we have? The third eye is where we sort of vision things, but it's also where our higher self lives, and we can sort of stand outside of ourselves and sort of have a perspective beyond our ego, all of that chatter in the head. And then, of course, the crown is for when we want to connect to the higher spirits, our higher self, our soul. What's our life's journey? What's our hero's journey? And I find it remarkable as a trained actor, that's what you're really learning. You would know this and appreciate this as well. That's really the secret of life. Can we get into our higher selves version of our journey of life rather than our ego self, chatter, all of that sort of guilt, shame, negativity, really we now know those are lower frequencies. And if we're in those emotions, if we're in that way of feeling about ourselves, we're actually manifesting a life in that frequency. When we can get into our higher frequencies, into the higher range of love, peace, harmony, our sort of wisdom state, we start to manifest the life we want. Look at the unity. Look what I've been able to do in the last 2 years. It's remarkable. I'm living proof of, if you can really allow yourself to be in what you are being faced with in the most authentic, heartfelt way. It's sort of there's really no end to what we can create in the world. And the harmonic egg is just such a beautiful, beautiful tool for that. And I'm so grateful to have it. And by the way, you name your eggs, and my downstairs, I have 2. And my downstairs egg is named Oshin after my late son.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. And by the way, unfortunately we are out of time, but there's still, I mean, the harmonic egg is amazing, but there's still so much more to you and to what you have to offer at the Unity Studio. I hope we get to speak again. I don't know are we scheduled to come back next week?
We have 2 more interviews, so I'm so excited.
Good. So we have plenty more time to talk because there's also memberships, there's special deals, there's so much more that's going on here too. But wow. So the Unity Studio, transformation from within. And again, I apologize that we're out of time, but Ciara, would you mind telling us all the ways we can reach out to you?
Yeah, absolutely. You can email us at info@theunitystudio.com. You can come see us. We're at 1444 DuPont Street, Studio 19 in Toronto. And you can get hold of us it's at the Unity Studio TO on both Instagram and Facebook. So you can DM me there and ask anything you'd like.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Pleasure having you here. Thank you so much again for sharing your story and doing what you're doing. Amazing. Can't wait to talk again. Okay. You have a great day.
Thanks, Jill.
Thanks so much. To all of our listeners, stay tuned. We'll be right back with more. Thank you. Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, I mean, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.